Hey guys, this is Sam Bismuth. I'm the executive for Wisconsin American Communist Party. And I'm here to tell you that it's your fault. It's all your fault, okay? The world is unfair. You need to take responsibility as a rugged individual. This is what we're all told, right? As if you didn't come out of another human being. As if the world isn't what feeds you and houses you and gives you every choice you could make. We're told it's all your fault, right? That maybe you can't afford your health care, your housing. Maybe you haven't even moved out of your parents. That's your fault. The earth is gonna burn up, everyone's gonna die. It's all your fault. That's what we're told. But maybe you have your life sorted out. Maybe, you clean your room like Jordan Peterson told you, or maybe like you're a millionaire, right, so you can appease the libertarians. And maybe you have a negative carbon footprint for the Democrats too, right? And now that you've sorted everything out, you can take some time out of your day and you can change the world, just little by little with some activism, just go join an NGO, just go try to persuade the warmongers, don't do all this bad stuff, right? And these haters, they'll come to me and they'll say, Sam, you blame the government because you don't want to work. You're a lazy communist. True, I don't want to work 50 hours a week at a fake job, earning fake money that's going to be taxed away to kill innocent life. They say, Sam, you complain because you haven't made it yet. Well, actually, I did make it for a while, and guess what? They still kept bombing Gaza anyway. So apparently that doesn't matter to them. People think, oh yeah, you need a ton of free time to be an activist. You need to spend all your time doing this. And it's taking away the time that you could have spent to start a shrimp farm or like invest in Fartcoin so that you could escape this, stupid world we live in. But from what I've actually seen, people spend that time like gaming, maybe smoking weed or something. They're not actually escaping because everybody can't escape. That's not how it works. That's not how it's built, right? They tell us, you're not good enough to have beliefs. Look at you eating Culvers and not giving all your money to starving children. Look at you, you don't have a master's degree. How can you tell people how to think? Go back to school, they say, and load your head with bourgeois nonsense in humanities and sociology and analytic philosophies. Well, you'll learn the world is just so evil and irrational, but capitalism is the best we can do, so just sit down and accept it. Sit down while we bomb Palestine, Yemen, Somalia, Syria. Sit down while we dive headfirst into suicidal wars with Russia, Iran, China, Venezuela. They say, sit down while you watch us bleed you dry, kill your spirit, and once again say it's all your fault. Because you have equal rights, so why not oppress like I do? Sign your soul to Satan, and you too can be as rich as Epstein. You too can have a bunker to survive what we've wrought, while the common man is burned by nuclear retaliation into ash. Now I could sit here all day, and not much would really change. We can have all of our protests and rallies, and what changes? Remember Black Lives Matter? Does it look like they matter yet? If you go to the ghetto of Milwaukee, does it look like they matter? Really? Really, did it make a change? Do you think the government gives a single fuck about your life?
Hell no.
No. No. So truly, we have freedom of speech because speech alone is free in the same way as a cigarette butt. Stop sitting on social media just consuming and start fighting in the informational war. Start changing the discourse, right? Stop acting as if one more protest is going to make a big difference and start actually organizing something concrete, something meaningful, effective. Something organized, right? Now, I'm not saying like go be Luigi Mangione, we're so upset we're just gonna go shoot somebody. Because the thing we have to realize about imperialist war, about ICE murders, is that these don't come from strength, but actually weakness. The basic authority of the state, that being the monopoly on violence, is made logical during times of stability through laws, courts, and social expectations. We can sit down and reason about things like the death penalty because the power of the state is coherent. But that's not where we are right now. It's only during the crisis of authority that brutality bleeds from their desperation. JFK, MLK, Kent State, 9/11, Vietnam, Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan. Do I need to keep going? Right? We've been in this crisis of imperialism for a long time. It's not new. But we need to recognize that these things are acts of desperation. And in seeing this irrational state, seeing its violence, the people will respond with their own. Now, this alone is not revolutionary. Just as the state lashes out in weakness, so too are we weak when we rely on individual disorganized acts. So I'm not saying to do that, but I'm also not saying to be simply a reformist who takes no responsibility for the material self-defense of the American people, who thinks we can elect a bunch of little mamdanis all across the country as if they could ever displace the authority of the same party that is controlling them and telling them what to say, telling them what to do. No. The same party that's backed by these billionaires, backed by these warmongers, this party is never going to fundamentally change the country. We act as if a Democrat is going to come in and save everything, as if Obama wasn't the deporter-in-chief, as if Obama didn't start conflicts in the Middle East and authorize drone strikes on civilians, as if he didn't cheer killing Gaddafi, the man who wanted to make a United States of Africa. Even Bernie and Mamdani, the so-called left-wing Democrats, criticize Iran, legitimating Trump's imperialism with what they call nuance, but what I call it is careerism, saving face for donors by barking at Palestine's most powerful ally. Their goal is not peace, but a more populistic distribution of the spoils of war. This is what they choose instead of, God forbid, sovereign industry on a peaceful basis, the redevelopment of our country. And this is not just domestic. The dollar sank 10% within the last year. The de facto reserve currency of the world, the United States' means of global control, is falling apart as we speak. We have no physical economy backing up the dollar, other than the reality of bribing, propagandizing, and holding hostage those that don't pay tribute. Enhanced interrogation on an international scale. Now, to me, economics is about how we feed the people. It's about the common man. Economics is not about this deception that it is for our elites. For them, they want to hide their overt robbery under a torrent of numbers and jargon, and they want us to play their game of trying to argue the rationality of their fundamentally invented and irrational system. They say if you disagree, you're not just wrong, but you hate reality itself. You don't understand economics. They'll say even basic economics, but they're defining reality and then telling us that we're wrong when we say that things could physically be better, right? And of course this immiseration is global. Of course this monetarism extends to when America bleeds, Korea loses a finger, right? And so what the system that we've built, it simply cannot last. Empires fall, and the American empire truly is, as they say, the great Satan. Now, at home, things are not much better. We have ICE and the National Guard pitted against each other. Right now, the leadership of Milwaukee is trying to do what they can to repel ICE and figure out what they can do. But even still, this is federal versus state conflicts. This is the contradictions in the legal authority of the state that are not being resolved so easily. People are fighting in the streets over this. And this crisis of authority between left and right is being mirrored below. Yes, our faith in the establishment collectively is at an all-time low, but people are also turning against each other to these various far-right and far-left internet cults that want to go to literal war with each other. They literally want to kill each other. But make no mistake, of course, we can't fight our neighbor. Epstein's emails even reveal that he influenced the creator of 4chan to create the right wing from scratch. And Ghislaine Maxwell had massive influence over Reddit to create these artificial movements of people who are not actually standing for their material interests, but substituting them with something else. Racialism, some type of, feminism or meninism, some type of incel ideology, some type of extreme wokeness where we need to dissolve all the human meaning that we consider basic, like gender. All of this is artificially propped up to replace the real consciousness, which is class consciousness. Last I checked, my cousin, who's a libertarian, wasn't in the Epstein files. Last I checked, he was still trying to afford a basic existence. But they want to tell me that since I'm a communist, I'm going to go to war with him and kill him. That's what they say. Of course, our elites must allow this crisis to happen anyway. It's not going to come merely from left people and right people coming and fighting each other, but the material foundations of our nation are breaking down, and that is when things become deadly. They're teaching you to blame your neighbor, not because they simply want you to fight each other, but because they know that our nation itself is breaking apart and that it won't be able to sustain itself. And when it gets to that point, they want you to fight your neighbor instead of them. This is the role of the Communist Party, to unify the people under a solid core of meaning and coherence and dedication to our interests as a class, the working class. Even if you're not a member of it, you need to follow the interests of the working class in a unified way, and that is the only way that things go forward. The revolution that's coming is going to be a revolution based on a sort of war between different factions of the people, which is then stabilized by people like Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, Elon Musk, the Great Reset, where you will own nothing. This sort of neo-feudal order, digital AI totalitarianism. They call it the network state, and I call it the panopticon. They want total control. And as you may have once heard, this won't work. Governments are instituted amongst men, deriving from their just powers and the consent of the governed. And whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. This is not merely a phrase, but an objective truth. Governments without the consent of the governed have never lasted, historically. It's impossible. As this crisis hits, most of what we call politics will be revealed to be nothing but a fart in the wind. War is coming. So go ahead and think you were right about everything. There will be people thinking how right they were on Reddit or on Facebook as they bleed out. How noble they were because they refused to work with somebody who had problematic views. They refused to work with somebody who had blue hair and pronouns to get done what needs to get done for the American people. What's really required to form this new society is a completely new orientation, a completely new viewpoint of what we call politics. The job of the Communist Party is to create this. And not just create it, but reveal it, because it's been the underlying reality the entire time. The Communist Party will build, and we will build until we are attacked by the forces of reaction, attacking only for defense of the revolution. Revolution, which is itself the self-defense of the people against tyranny, not the voluntaristic creation of a utopia, but the wiping out of empire to create a blank slate on which the American people can create a new society. Though the ACP is young, I believe we have the correct path. We don't want to waste time going to excess protests or sitting around validating each other all day. We want to trample the fake left wing and trample the right wing with communism and push them into the irrelevancy that they deserve and become the central, mainstream guiding force of the American people. Our larger chapters are doing just this, and they're doing it on a concrete, not purely ideological basis, unionizing unorganized workers and embarking upon increasingly large-scale community projects. In Wisconsin, that is our goal, to build dual powers, build the new in the shell of the old. As of now, we are teaching ourselves organization, discipline, and self-defense, educating ourselves in Marxism-Leninism so that we understand the history and don't repeat the mistakes of the past, which have led to so many countless failed movements and zombie groups that we see running around who have never bothered to actually understand the content of Marx and Lenin and everyone else. Stalin, Mao, do I need to list them all? Look, we're communists. We're real communists, okay? We believe in actually existing socialism, and we believe in creating actually existing socialism in America. And if that's what you believe in, I hope that you will come and join us. Thank you.